Like when I tried to do the Facebook one, it uh, made me sign in again and everything. But for the YouTube one, I just hit YouTube. We should be live on Facebook right now. Um, so we're live on Facebook. I just don't know where it's going for the where it's going on the YouTube side.
It's not showing on YouTube right here.
Go.
Look, we're frozen already.
So that's on. It's on YouTube.
Okay. Let's see if it's better. All right. Good evening, everybody. We are back from Arizona just a few hours ago, actually. I'm going to try and see if I can find us on our laptop here on our YouTube channel as well. We are streaming both to Facebook and YouTube right now, so bear with me real quick as I pull this up and try and find our YouTube.
We'll see if the YouTube streams any better than the Facebook. If the freezing is on the Facebook side, if it's on the YouTube side, we'll find out. Or if it's through the live software that we're using, or if it's in our Starlink. Because I did see a little notification on the Starlink today that it didn't have the best signal and that they were working on it. So it knows something's probably a little wrong.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get all that figured out. We'll keep working on this every week and trying to get a better streaming product out for you guys. Real quick, want to give a huge shout out to Flying High Off-Road for being our sponsor for the Western Series opener in Baghdad. So thank you to the Flying High Off-Road crew, the oldest off-road shop in Arizona. So make sure if you need anything, any work or anything out there, make sure you check those guys out for anything. Maxxis Tires, Laser Nut Metal Cloak, Brannick Machine, Crown Automotive, Spider Tracks Off-Road, Raceline Wheels, Tire Right, and PCI Race Radios. If you guys didn't get a chance to make it out to Baghdad, hopefully you got to see some of the online coverage. Huge shout out to Woody for covering that for us. A great job. Also want to thank Dwayne and Shara for their jumping. FMI Minds, Aaron Armstrong, that is his vision. That whole event site out there is because of him. The city of Baghdad, Robert Camacho, Jimmy and Gage McKeon. This is for the trash cans, Clean Harbors for the dumpsters, Great Outdoors for the restrooms. Also, thanks to Rich and Shelly, and Colby and Caleb and Jesse, who came out and helped us this weekend as well. So huge shout out to all of those guys. Real quick, Scott with Spinning Wheels Photography. I will have some information on how to get in touch with him up real soon if you guys want to check out the photos that he got from the weekend. And I know we had some other people out taking photos as well. But wow, first of all, amazing event. Really really kind of crazy. We didn't. We'd heard a lot of rumors over the off season as to who was doing what and what was going to be changing. So that was really exciting to see Tyler Harper step up into Unlimited with his Pro Trail car. Very, very cool. Jesse Haynes brought out his Pro Modified with rear steer added to that. Again, Dave Long taking top honors though in the Unlimited, so proving that the skinny car maybe still has an advantage over the two-seat cars. But yeah, very, very, very cool. I guess we can talk a little bit about the pro courses. You want to talk about Unlimited? I guess how we ended up there and who rolled and who didn't roll in Unlimited.
Yeah. So courses, I think did pretty good at challenging pretty much everyone. Like always, a little hard on pro mods, but that they were still finishing courses, so that was awesome. But starting in Unlimited, I think the only person who didn't really have anything go wrong on course the whole weekend was Tyler, except
he lost an oil
he
filter.
Lost an oil filter.
He lost an oil filter. So Tyler Harper got a rock caught up in the front suspension and up into the oil filter, punctured a hole in there. They were going to try and take the oil filter off of Logan's Pro Trail car, but apparently he put the oil filter on extremely tight and they couldn't get it off. So they ended up getting, I think Jacob Reeves was in town getting parts, and so he made the trip back with some extra oil filters for Tyler Harper. So yeah, no.
I think is there really anyone that didn't had a clean weekend? I think Unlimited.
Wow, we could start at the bottom. I mean, John Himble definitely not starting the season the way that he wanted to. If you guys saw the pictures of that, front axle housing completely just broke in half.
Yeah, that was on his second course of the day. I think he was dropping down the 5 gate, and that left front, just like the tire and everything, just like folded over.
Yeah, and then, instead of turning this way, it wanted to turn this way,
and then found out that the axle housing cracked right at the pumpkin. We were looking at it. It looks like there may have already been some stress fracture on the front side of it, and that's kind of thinking it was already a little bit weakened after years of abuse, and that's all it took just to have it let go on their second course of the weekend. So it took a little bit to get him recovered off the course, but we got him off there, and unfortunately that was the end of their weekend.
Yeah, after almost 2 courses.
Yep.
So
that was one of the new team members joined John Himble. Miles Kimberly was spotting for him, so we were excited to see what their weekend was going to look like, except they didn't make it very far.
Yeah, so that is not what anybody expected. So, and if you guys have seen the pictures, the axle tube itself did break, and it is separate from, so the welds were just around the pumpkin here, and it broke just a little bit further away. So it wasn't the welds or anything. It was actually the quarter wall DOM tubing that those axle housings are made out of that fatigued and broke. So absolutely crazy. I do know that, John wheels like twice a week, and Trail Breakers, both not only at Trail Hero but in Baghdad as well.
Yep.
So that car has definitely seen.
He definitely made the highlight for Farmington for Grand Nationals.
Yes.
So that car had not been.
Maybe one too many highlight reels for John's front axle.
Yep. Yeah. I think that car's been welded on the chassis side before, where it's been.
Yeah, it's had some fatigue issues, even over the last year. So yeah, definitely. Better, and that John and Miles will definitely be ready to get back on the top of that podium.
Completely lost feed for a second. So it's in the Mevo or the Starlink.
Yeah, so whatever our connectivity issues are, we're going to keep working on that and hopefully get that resolved very, very soon. So,
Who do we want to talk about next Unlimited? We want to go to Wayne Mortensen. Jump right into working out some bugs. We had the WERocker, the first modern electric rock crawler. He came out and competed. He didn't just step right into like a sportsman class. He went full into Unlimited.
Yeah.
And that's a hard class to jump into. These courses are not very beginner friendly for somebody figuring out all the rules and everything.
Yeah.
So he had some learning. There was a learning curve for him this weekend, trying to figure out course flow and how everything worked out on course. But that thing was pretty amazing to watch. It was a lot quieter than I figured it would be. Even being electric, you still have to run a hydraulic pump
and I thought for sure the hydraulic side of it would still make quite a bit of noise.
The transfer cases or the crawl box would be loud, but nope.
It was
that
silent.
Thing could drive right behind you, and all you would hear is the rocks moving. It was so weird when he would get on the throttle because that tire would be grabbing all sorts of things, and it would light up really quick.
Yeah.
And
he had some tire smoke back there on course A2 coming out of that notch. There was definitely some tire smoke from those BF Goodrich tires and that electric motor, spinning those tires. So it definitely has the power. He detuned it for Sunday. He said it was working really good, testing it around Reno where he lives in the rocks there. He said the power felt great, but he said it had just a little bit too much torque right out of the box for Bagdad and the rocks there. So,
and then I also know he was talking to Jesse Haynes because that car, some of the geometry was acting a little weird, and I know he talked to Jesse Haynes in his recap post. So I think is he WERocker or is he? I can't remember what his Instagram handle is, but he did a more in depth
mortar
and then some tuning on the motor left. But it's still that car. I think it's. He also posted it was around 3,200 pounds.
3,100
just
pounds.
Under 3,200 pounds, I thought.
Yep.
And that car, when it would bite and grab, it would climb really well.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a Jesse Haynes chassis. It's definitely a knockoff version that's been modified for the electric drivetrain and the batteries and everything. But the suspension isn't quite as dialed, and it could be somewhere between link geometry and shock tuning
I think
as well.
In his recap post, he talked about the roll center being
roll center's too high,
and he needed to bring that down closer to the center of gravity of the vehicle. So it's definitely got some tuning to work, but even still with some really tough courses, he did really pretty good.
They did excellent, and it's I'm so stoked to see them on course. Of course, ours sitting here just wasting away until we get the chance to get this thing up and running. But man, it was really, really cool to see it out and actually see it work. It's going to be neat to see Wayne get his dialed in, and then Dean's going to have his car up and running here really, really soon too, and that's going to be exciting to see. So so look forward to that. He will be back for the rest of the season. If you guys get a chance to come out and make an event, make sure you come talk to him. He's a great guy and has a lot of knowledge and research into putting that buggy together. So make sure when you're out at the next event to look for the WERocker and check that out.
Guess we can go into kind of the rest of the Unlimited class.
Yeah, Skip did not. We definitely had a lot of excitement around Skip Scott coming off of the Texas Top Gun. I mean, he had a great showing there, and really excited to carry that momentum in. Unfortunately, was it the first course? He rolled pretty early on. And then from then just
yeah,
started to kind of
first
question
course,
things.
he rolled off a gate 4, that gnarly rock pile. He ended up rolling off of that, and then I think later that same day, did he roll off of? Yep, he rolled off of the his last course. He rolled off the 5 gate as well.
Yeah.
So
And as you guys know, once you're in that zone, focusing on the courses, trying to learn what you can from the other competitors to, what your game plan is going to be. When that shifts away from, that planning that you would normally do to trying to take care of the car, they hydrolock the engine, him and Cole off of their game, and that just never really recovered from that, unfortunately. But again, I know they'll be back and ready to tackle the courses again very soon. So,
and then I think we talked about Tyler, so we'll go to our top spots here between Dave Wong and Jesse Haynes. Dave, as always, really showing on a clinic, really running these courses. And then Jesse in that pro mod with rear steer, he stepped into unlimited with that thing, and I know he told somebody there that he brought the wrong car. He started looking at these courses and running them. I think he was missing his moon buggy. First day, he had a couple of rough courses.
Yeah, just really, I think fighting having the bigger car, I think was probably they came up short and DNF'd a course on time.
And they also
well, it was either going to be time or course flow.
Well,
in that case.
that was on Sunday, or yeah, that was Sunday that he did that. But also on Saturday, he blew the front drive shaft apart, I believe.
Oh yeah, that was over in that very there, but
just got the car bound up going over a little belly rock. Pretty much the wheelbase was just perfect to where the front end settled pretty much on the underside of the rock into the undercut, and then the front end came apart on that thing. He ended up driving out of the gate.
I talked to him a little bit about that. So he's running a 700 R4 in there, a 4-to-1 transfer case. I'm sure it's got 529 gears with the 2-to-1 portals in there. So it's geared very, very low. He said he didn't think he was bound up hardly at all in there.
It was bound up, but it didn't look too bad. It definitely, compared to what we've seen those cars do before, it wasn't something I would have thought it would have came apart in.
Yeah, but it just ripped the front drive shaft apart, and I think probably in that ricochet caused some. He broke an upper portal gear, I believe, is what it was.
Yeah, he was changing something in the portal or axle side there as well. But he took that cone out and drove out of that 4 gate with just rear only. So he was still able to get progression on that, but unfortunately that's as far as he got with rear power.
Yeah.
And then
really, and then the just running out of time or course flow mistakes there on A1. So
they made a course is when they just got to that 5 gate bonus, and he 3-tired it, and then messed up on following course flow after that, getting to the finish gate. So that unfortunately put him farther back on Dave Wong. Which also he had that lead spot, but he was not. He had a plan that he was sticking with, and he wasn't just going to take everything nice and easy. We saw him almost roll the car off of a bonus gate while he had a pretty decent lead. So Dave was still pushing, but he was. I think they had that plan that they thought was going to work. It just ended up getting a little bit more rowdy and having to drive out of it. So there's a lot of action between all of them. And then the last course of Sunday, we rolled both Dave Wong and Jesse Haynes on the same gate. They both did the same thing. Jesse rolled off of it, trying to spotter strap and get through it. Rolled off of it and then had to go back, take the cone, and drive through the gate again to get 3 tires. And then Dave, who also thought the gate was doable, ended up in that same place, rolled off of it all the way back onto all 4, and then reattempted the gate again. So there was a lot of an event go where almost
everybody on the pro class rolled at one very doable They weren't all the same course that everybody had trouble on. So
Yeah, we
I
had
thought they were,
out of
they
all
were
of
very
the
exciting.
yeah, out of all of the pros, so Unlimited, Pro Mod, Pro Trail, John Himble didn't roll, uh, Tyler Harper didn't roll, and Logan Backus didn't roll. So we only had 3 competitors stay on all 4, or three and a
For the
half, as
weekend.
John ended
Yeah,
up on.
yeah. Since John only didn't get to participate in everything, so sorry about that, buddy.
So it was our first place Pro Trail coming back for their first pro season. Brett Dickey at the wheel and his dad Matt Dickey.
Yeah. So speaking of rolling on that same exact gate,
On that same gate, they first course of the day, they ended up rolling, almost taking out his dad.
Yeah,
But thankfully he was able to get out of the way. Same gate that Jesse and Dave rolled on the next day. They ended up flopping all the way over, back in all 4, spinning the car around, driving through it, and then even almost rolling it off the 5 bonus drop after that.
Yeah.
He ended up standing it on just the
Yep,
front 2 tires.
little nose wheelie off of the top there
But
was
he drove
was
out of
crazy.
it.
That was a really great combo. Glad to see those guys back on course because they were kicking butt for sure.
Yep,
So
they
it was
pushed
really
hard,
cool. Yep.
and it really paid off. They came off with a great weekend. So congratulations
Yeah, they really
to those.
really stepped into Tyler Harper's shoes in Pro Trail to make sure they keep Logan in second place as many times as possible. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Pro Trail was was good. Jeff Rubico on the A4 course.
Yep, he ended up
took a really hard roll.
I think kind of went
broke the center out of the wheel,
end over end.
Yeah, it was just kind of a pirouette and
I
just kind of tossed over the backside. It was crazy. So it was really hard to see from the spectator side, but it came down and there was a rock that stood up taller, and so it would pitch the car. And what ended up happening is it just kind of went over that direction. But
landed on that.
It was a crazy hit. His spotter, trying to get out of the way, definitely popped his knees. Definitely wasn't feeling good after that. So. John Himble step into spot.
Yep, John Himble ended up spotting for him on Sunday, so that was good to see him still on course and in a different position.
Yeah,
maybe that'll give him new perspective on what it's like being outside the car. It's definitely completely different.
Yeah, that's for sure. So
also speaking of somebody that's usually in the driver's seat, we had in Pro Mod. Caitlin, who was usually in the driver's seat, was out spotting, and Kevin was driving. So that made, I know she enjoyed that a lot. She finally got to tell him what to do instead of the other way around.
So, yeah, they, and really they did pretty well, I think. They had a solid run. They did have a couple of rolls, and on the last course, they hit the belly on the underside of the car so hard that it broke the transmission. Yep. And so it was leaking.
Housing on the
so it was leaking fluid. They weren't able to make the shootout, which was a bummer, but because I know they would have put on a good show for everybody. But always great to see them out on course, and probably good to switch those roles a little bit, just to be a better team in the future as well. But we know Caitlin will be back later this season in the driver's seat as well, so don't worry about that for all you Caitlin fans.
So I think we'll move into Pro Mod since we've already kind of talked about Kevin and Caitlin Vorn. Braxton Coleman putting on another great show, taking home that top spot. Phenomenal driving. He has grown so much over the couple of years he's been competing here, and so much car control still. I believe Trail Hero last year, the rear locker let go, and they weren't able to get one in time for Baghdad. It ended up being they didn't make that. I can't remember what they have in the rear of that, but they didn't make that locker anymore, so they were not able to find one. And so he was back driving with just the rear cutting brakes to use instead of a locker. So there was a lot of great driving there. Definitely
crazy that he took the top spot without a functioning rear locker.
They could get it to lock in just for a couple seconds, and that's about all that they would be able to use the locker for. Definitely some great driving there, driving that car on 2 tires multiple times, and some great spotting.
Lots of saves. So there was one time where he had it stood up on the front bumper. It was straight up and down. And him and Brett were just having a conversation as they're like, well, what are we going to do now?
He went and ran down all the way to the start gate, got the spotter strap, hooked it back on, and I bet any movement from that car at all would have sent it over. If he would have made any steering or any gear change, any movement, I bet you that car would have been over on its roof.
Yeah, and that was the same spot that Jeff Rubico broke his wheel when he tumbled off of there too. So how that engine maintained oil pressure for as long as it sat there, I have no idea. But a great job on just remaining calm. And, I think that's the key. So, to jump back to Kevin, we were watching them over on course A2, and where he rolled over into the ravine there, that little notch, if you guys saw that. And all right, Braxton's working on his zip locker right now, so we know they'll have that thing dialed in real quick. But the rear tire, when Kevin was driving, it came off, and I know that it felt bad in the driver's seat sitting there with that car teetering right on the edge of that ravine. They took a reverse, tried to settle the car a little bit, but you could kind of see that he was already worried about rolling the car in there. And when that's kind of what you're focused on, that's tends to be what happens.
It's almost like the car can sense that you're uptight and like really trying to control it and manhandle it.
Just kind of dropped in there a little quick, knowing that he was trying to not roll the car, which ended up causing a roll. But so and that's something that Brett that Braxton just has really, really good. Brett does too.
And they took a pretty nasty that it was set in. Tried to throttle it out as the rear came off the wall, and he tried to settle it down, throttle, and landing, going all the way over, landing on the driver's side, and then without even taking hardly any time at all, he was in drive, turned all the way driver, and drove the car right back onto all four. He's done that. I've seen him do that quite a
number of times,
where he just knows what it takes to get the car back on all four. A car will be on its side, and before you know it, he's saved it back onto all four.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
they're on gate 2, coming back through that sideways gate down there at the bottom. He had it laid on the side, drove around through there, and then was on 2 tires for a while, and was able to throttle it and settle it back down. And that's completely on its side, and then finally able to wiggle out through there. So super exciting to see George and Laura make the transition from Sportsman B over to job driving. They finished 6 of the 8 courses.
They were the only Pro Mod team to finish all 4 courses on Sunday. So that was an amazing feat right there. They also had some really great saves, like you were saying. They had that car on its side for almost probably a minute or 2 minutes, just working it from completely on its side to back onto all 4 through the gate. So there was a lot of great saves there. I know I got to watch them on A4 where Braxton had that car stood on the nose for quite a while. That same drop, George I looked away for 2 seconds. I looked back, I just saw a skid plate and rear tires in the sky. And they saved it, but unfortunately the belt came off when they saved it, and they jumped when he was messing with that belt, something in the wiring let go. So they ended up dead on course. I was really hoping they could get that fixed and keep going, but unfortunately.
See a team go down because I don't think it was an issue last year, really. So it might be just a fluke thing. Needs a new pulley on something. So hopefully they get that figured out and dialed in. But very, very cool. I saw on here Dan came out and competed with us. Daniel Lesko. For his first time at a WERock event. We had some other first-timers on the other end of the scale.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't. They're not first timers. They're old timers.
oh,
There.
old time, vintage,
Yeah, vintage.
So that was super cool, you know, to have both ends of the spectrum. And for some reason, I'm not sure why Tracy's score did not get onto our last update for some reason, but he did end the day with a negative 205.
205. And as soon as I saw that score, I started doing some mental math, and I believe it was
I think they had one
like
cone.
240. A negative 240 is what I think
Is that
was
what it was?
maximum possible.
Yeah, and I think he reached out to Rich, and he's like, I don't think my score is right. I think it should have been negative 215. So either way, he was definitely above and beyond. He was only a cone and a couple of reverses from you know, a really good weekend.
And that was
in the Sportsman A. And they had a blast, and it was a great time for us, not only to have them back on course, but to have the e-buggy, and then have some of our new friends join us as well. Great feedback from the, you know, the event. Always we got food vendor issues there for some reason, but we will continue to work on that and make sure that we have even more food for everybody next year. But Ashley, thank you so much for stepping up and kicking butt as always with TNA. Delicious hot dogs. Thank you so much for all of your help with that. All right. So before we wrap here, real quick, Texas is coming up here in a couple weeks. Make sure that you reach out and get your campsites reserved if you have not done so. If you need information on that, let me know, and I'll get you in touch with, I believe Shane's probably handling that. I tried to get a hold of him earlier, and then I missed his call when he called back to confirm before we went live. But it's going to be good. So the way Texas is going to work is you show up, you pay one entry fee, just like you normally would.
You're already getting into Texas.
You finish in first, you will get first place points for the Western Series, and separately first place points for the Eastern Series. Where things are super exciting for me is I'm interested to see if we can get some, you know, somebody like Maverick, you know, get some of the Texas crew to come out and prevent the series competitors from getting on top of that box and really messing with the points. Could be a lot of fun. So really excited about that. The wheeling is open. So if you guys have not been to Coutemps to wheel, bring your rig down. Daily park fees apply. They do have great food that is ready to go all the time on site there. So we always look forward to that. But it's going to be a great week of crazy cruisers from
Barefoot Racing, it looks like.
Oh yeah, Barefoot. Yeah, Mizrax are going to be
ready.
there. The Benners, I know, are coming as well. So it's going to be, I think, an incredible car count, and it's going to be a really fun event. We're going to get down early and try and either modify see if we can find some new terrain that's very suitable for what we want to do as well. So hopefully we'll have some good changes for you guys on the area that we're using that. So I agree with that. It was a long trip home. We are glad to be back, and we'll get back to work on setting things up for Cedar City and Texas this week still. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys join us, and